everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Get right into it. For today's video, I'm going to discuss my top 10 shows that I think are worth watching. So my preference when it comes to watching a show, I don't really have too much of a preference. I'm not into like anything scary at all. I like mafia shows, I like drug related shows because I just love seeing shit like that. I'm not really into cartoons all that much, although I've been watching a couple shows on Disney Plus. But anyways, we're gonna get started with our first show that I think is just a classic. This is probably my favorite show of like all time that I think you definitely need to watch at some point in your life, which is The Sopranos. So I remember growing up when the show would be on, I would watch it with my dad. I remember like always hearing the theme song.
Woke up this morning, got yourself a gun.
Like, bitch, you already know. Basically, the storyline of the show is based on the main character, Tony, and his family. He is in the mob, the mafia, whatever you want to call it. And it just follows his life of dealing with his family and then also being into that other world. I thought Tony, like, his character was very enjoyable to watch, and I thought he was just like a very likable person. Some shows, they just have characters, like main characters especially, that you just hate them, and I feel like he was, you know, just very interesting on many different aspects of his life. He was one of my favorite characters, and then Christopher was probably like my favorite #1 character, but Tony was also up there. Christopher is basically like Tony's nephew. I think he's what he classifies him as. I don't want to give away too many spoilers. I just hated the ending of the show, and Tony in real life, James Gandolfini, I think is how you pronounce his last name, he died. So there's like no way of ever changing the show's ending because he's not alive to do this. That's really disappointing to me, but I think they are coming out with a new show in relation to The Sopranos, but I think it's AJ's perspective, which is Tony's son for the show, and I really did not like AJ, so I just feel like a lot of the main characters won't be in it, and it just, yeah, no. So other than The Sopranos, the rest of these shows aren't really in any particular order. These are just the rest of the ones that I enjoy. So next is Power. I love Power. They're also coming out with another, it might be out already actually, but they're coming out with like another show, I think, from Tariq's perspective, which Tariq was one of the main character's sons, and I don't know what it is with the sons on these shows, but I don't like him either. In my opinion, he was just really annoying. He was very cocky. Power is, for the most part, based on the character Ghost and also Tommy, who do some illegal criminal shit also. I'd say probably Tommy was my favorite character, just because he had like, he could be really serious, but then he's also really funny. So I feel like the balance of it, he just fit the role really well, I feel, for the show. So another show that I think is worth watching is Queen of the South, based on the character. Her name is Teresa, or Teresa, however you want to pronounce it. And she is just a badass bitch who worked her way up from literally nothing. I will admit, though, I haven't watched the most recent season because one of my favorite characters on the show, he didn't die, but he just got like written off the show. But I saw when I was like searching it that they're apparently bringing him back. I don't know if the new season has aired with him yet, but I have to get caught up because now I'm happy that he's coming back. This is also another, I guess, criminal type of show because it deals with like smuggling drugs and stuff. My next show is The Mandalorian. I have not watched a single Star Wars movie, and I will say, like, I pretty much did watch this show to see Baby Yoda because I thought he was just so cute. Did I continue watching for him? Of course. But I think the show in general, like, is actually good. Like, the action, and I love Mando, the Mandalorian. You don't have to watch any of those movies because it's basically like its own thing. You don't need to know what happened in the movies to understand what's happening on the show, which I think is nice. Although I'm sad that like the next season isn't coming out until next year. I think the end of next year. Bitch, we just started this year. I can't wait that long. The next show is pretty much another Spanish show, although it is in English. You can watch it. It's La Casa de Papel. Also is Money Heist on Netflix. The first couple parts or seasons, whatever they want to call it, were like fucking amazing. And then I think the last one I watched, just, I don't know, it kind of fell off for me. But I'm still going to include it because I would go back and watch the first couple seasons over just to see like how they plan this whole thing out. You can guess it's a heist type of thing, and so you see like the planning part of it, and I just thought it was crazy how like the professor is one of the main characters. He just is like a mastermind that comes up with like blueprints and you're gonna do this. And honestly, like, it was crazy to see, but it was possible that like this stuff could have happened. So there are a few main characters, I want to say probably like 10 maybe. Each of them have their own name based off of like a city around the world. I don't want to spoil too much, but I definitely recommend this show. So I guess I'll just stick with the Spanish theme for one more. Narcos. I would recommend watching the seasons when it's based on Pablo Escobar. Even though it might be a fictional show, I have heard that there are like quite a few realistic things that have happened. They said that Pablo burned money one time because his daughter was cold. Bro. So Narcos basically just follows the life of Pablo, also like the investigation aspect of it. They were trying to track him and basically get to the point of arresting him. It was just so crazy to watch. And it just felt very realistic too. Like, I felt like I was watching this actually happen. So they continued on like with later seasons after Pablo died. I mean, that's not a spoiler, Pablo died. So they continued the show following like after his death the cartels that took over and stuff, but it just wasn't as interesting to me. There's just other cartels that like were featured on the first couple seasons with Pablo that I didn't really like the characters, so I didn't care to continue watching like what happened after he died. So that's just my opinion. The next show that I definitely recommend is Breaking Bad. I had seen Breaking Bad, like people always talking about it for the longest time. And then finally, like a couple years ago, I decided to watch it, and I'm so happy that I did. This show is based on Walt, who is an older, I think he was like a chemistry teacher, and Jesse, who was younger, who I think Walt was his teacher at one point. They basically work together to ultimately be like, what is, not drug, is it drug dealers, or like, what is it called, people that make drugs? What is that called? Since Walt obviously is a chemistry teacher, he knows a lot about making shit, and they basically become drug cooks. And it was just so funny because they're always like, let's go cook, and they're like cooking meth and whatever else. I mean, I know that sounds a little out there, but I like the storyline because of why Walt was doing it. You understand his reasoning for it, and you kind of like stick up for him, like, yeah, go Walt. You gotta do what you gotta do. I would say the two of them probably were my favorite characters. I really didn't like either of their like significant others. Walt's wife, I thought she was just like the worst human being, and then Jesse's girlfriend really pissed me off because she was trying to get too involved in the situation. She was trying to blackmail Walt, and like, girl, please. So with my next show, a lot of people either love it or they just hate it. And I feel like for a while I was, not that I hated it, I just didn't really see the hype around it. And then I finally watched it and I'm like, wow, this is actually, I enjoyed it, okay? Friends, some people just have like this anger attached to Friends that they just hate it. I just think it's preference of like what you're into. I liked all the characters besides Phoebe. Phoebe was someone, I'm not going to say that I hated her, but like I never found her to be funny. I just didn't really care for her. Like, she was always singing her Smelly Cat song, and it was just really annoying to me. So honestly, I will say, time there was a storyline where Phoebe was like by herself or like not with one of the main friends, I would just skip it because I'm like, honestly, I don't care. But my favorite characters were Rachel and Chandler. I think the two of them, if they were together, I think they'd be such a funny couple, but I did like Rachel with Ross. My next show is Mr. Robot. I watched that probably within like the last year or something. So obviously I spend a lot of time here on YouTube and I'm always watching videos. I love watching like talk show type of videos. So I saw that Jimmy Fallon was talking to the main character, Rami Malek, I think is how you pronounce his name. And they were talking about like the ending of Mr. Robot. The main character is Rami, his name is Elliot on the show, and he is just like a cyber hacker. It just follows Elliot's life and also includes his sister at some points too. The show honestly left me kind of shocked. Like, I was really surprised at the ending. You spent all this time watching the show just to find out what happens at the end. I was shocked. I wasn't disappointed. I was more like surprised than anything. That alone should make you want to go watch it. The last show, I will say I was disappointed with the ending on this one, but I think they're coming out with a new, what is it called, like when a show comes out with another show, like after the show ends? Because Power is doing it, The Sopranos. I had always seen Dexter advertised like on social media and stuff. I didn't really know like what the show was about, and then I kind of saw some things. He was like a serial killer, and that's not a surprise. That's literally what the show is about. I'm just like, I don't want to see like if this is really like gruesome or gory, I think the word is. But bitch, I got like very intrigued by the show. I'm like, Dexter is a likable character. He's so quiet, he keeps to himself, and then on the side he does this. I just thought it was interesting that like he's into forensics and stuff. And again, not that I'm rooting for him, but like I understand why he kind of did what he did. He was taking matter into his own hands. Do I support that? Absolutely not. For entertainment purposes, okay. I feel like the ending of the show just was so opposite of like what had happened throughout the whole series. Should I just ruin the show for you at this point? Like, so he didn't die, he didn't go to jail, and I feel like that's just enough to say. I mean, I think I would have been happier with the ending if he went to jail, honestly, or got caught, just to see like how would they have went about like the investigation and stuff with actually proving that he was doing this. I just think like the writers were just over at this point and were like, okay, yep, just let Dexter go do whatever he wants. I am excited to see like what they plan on doing with this new thing that's supposed to come out. Maybe give an update years later about what happened to him. Or obviously I have a lot more shows that I enjoy watching. I love Glee. The only reason I didn't mention Glee was I don't think I would go back and rewatch it just because 3 of the main characters on the show have died in real life. Like it would be too hard to watch it. I'd be so sad. I know watching it and seeing Corey Monteith especially, I absolutely adored him as Finn. I just would probably cry the whole time. He was the first one that passed away, and I remember just watching the show. It just wasn't the same without him. If you are interested, I do recommend Glee. I feel like they were always singing some good songs, and there's even this one tweet that I saw that sometimes Glee covers were better than the original song, which I definitely agree with. Those were my top 10 shows. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what some of your favorite shows are. I'm always looking for new recommendations. Right now, I'm currently binge watching Kim Possible. That's what I'm up to these days. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.